I'm Rob.
And I'm Louie.
And this is the Drive VR arcade racing game reviewed by
Barefoot Gaming.
Louie, Drive. Tell me about this game. How does this compare to the very small plethora of VR racing games that currently exist?
It is an arcade racing game as opposed to almost everything else, which is simulation of real racing.
Why aren't there more arcade racing games in VR? That seems like such a no-brainer. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy the sim racing ones. After we did our little build and stuff with the fens and the rumbler and the butt kicker. It's great, but sometimes I don't want to memorize the track.
Right.
I just want to go. I want to accelerate hard, I want to do crazy corners, and I want to drive into the opponents. I almost said enemies. Louis, what kind of customization is there in here?
You can turn on or off different things like body damage or wear on your tires or using fuel. You can also adjust your braking, and the game will help you steer around corners.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of little helping options to make that.
Automatic, standard, all sorts of things that you can use to your advantage to make it what you want to play.
So early access, that has to be said. The game kind of just came out, and I think, according to the Steam page anyway, they've got like 4 or 5 months before they're hoping to hit the full version. It doesn't have multiplayer right now. That's something that is coming. Right now there is one vehicle. There's one vehicle, but how many skins?
There are 20 skins, but two different cars happen to have duplicates, so it's more like 18.
I'm assuming that's a glitch, because we flip back and forth and it's like, that's the same. Yep. That is the same. How many tracks? That's important.
There are 10 tracks.
And again, these are both things that they're adding on to. Talk to the developer, checking in regards to cars, because one car is not enough, and they know that. More cars are coming. I think another car is coming very shortly, with more cars to follow. Again, because it's arcade mode, like you're not going to find your Mercedes, you're not going to find your Lamborghinis. You're just going to see a generic race car is kind of the way it's going to go. But tracks matter.
Yes, there are the 10 tracks, and they range from daytime to nighttime, and depending on how oval they are, that affects your race style. There's lots of twisty turny ones.
I am a sucker for night driving.
Yes.
I get a kick out of it in computer racing games, just because you get the cool reflections and the red lights from the taillights and stuff, and you can set the difficulty of the opponents that you're going up against, but they will drive aggressive. Like they will try to drive you off the road, as I will try to drive them off the road.
Exactly.
And honestly, going in like the banked oval, which as a Canadian, I don't really understand NASCAR very well, but I tell you, it was so much fun blowing through exploding cars.
Yep.
That was actually kind of neat. Aside from that, are we ready for the review? Is there anything else we need to?
I don't see why we wouldn't be.
The game is $20 US, 22 Canadian, 20 Australian dollars, as that's where the developers are from, 20 UK. Let's give me some pros, give me some cons. Again, remember this is early access, but I mean, the price is the price. Pros, cons, Louis, out of 5.
One of my pros right off the bat is there are 100 laps. You can max it out to 100 laps, or you can take it down. I think the lowest was...
Is it 2? 1 or 2? So I think something like 2. Yeah.
I want to say it was 2. I don't think it was 1, but it might have been. I could be wrong. And I love doing huge numbers of laps, because the first 2 or 3 laps, I'll just fall behind.
Well, it's hard. You don't know where the corners are, right?
Yeah, exactly. But after 100, I've lapped a couple guys, and I can just start smashing into them all willy-nilly and trust that I'm still going to win it. Also, I really, really enjoy the pit row, getting in there and having to do that based on some other guys are still doing some laps, and you're hoping that they just run out of gas somewhere.
Yeah, and it's neat. They actually slow you down when you pull into the pit.
Yeah.
And it's highlighted, so you know where to stop.
Yes.
Which takes all that extra, how does the game work? They make it really clear. Again, arcade style.
Yeah.
Anything else?
My only flaw was I got trapped. I think it was just once, but I was getting flipped over because a car hit me, and I hit it, and it hit me. And I landed kind of sideways up on an embankment, and the game wouldn't reset. There was no tow truck that, eventually showed up to pull me off. I was just stuck. I had to restart the game, and I was already several laps in.
But it's early access. I have to say that, and being stuck on the side is a rarity. I think it only happened to us once in all the times.
And we did crash a lot.
So many crashes. Out of 5, Louis, give me this thing a score.
I'm gonna give this thing a 3 3/4. It's still so new. There's so much they can do with it. But for where it stands, I think they're doing really well, and I think they're gonna do a lot better in the future.
I agree on a lot of those points. I'm gonna touch on the visuals. The visuals aren't as nice as something like Project Cars 2.
Right.
It's a much smaller studio to keep in mind. My understanding is the performance wasn't fantastic before. We had 0 issues with performance. We had details quite high. Everything ran smooth, even recording, which takes a hit on the CPU. So the visuals were nice, but not, incredible. I can't help but give them some leeway on that because it's an arcade simulator. There's no mini-map, which I actually didn't mind. You can see like the status of your vehicle a little bit. You can see your tires. You can see where your position and stuff is on your dash in the bottom right.
But aside from that, number of laps.
Aside from that, you got to learn the tracks a little bit. But they're very forgiving, right? I was hitting the brakes and accelerating. I was swinging my back end around.
Drifting.
The game needs more cars. It absolutely needs more cars. I would like to see weather effects. And again, that's not something that all racing games have. I think that would look really cool in here. Developers, if you can do it, why not? Put it on the Barefoot Gaming track. No, in all seriousness, the night effects, there's no music. Like when you're in game, all you hear is engine sounds. That's all. And again,
and crunching against the sidewalls.
You hear when I was driving, there'd be a lot of crunching.
Yes.
And like I mentioned before, just that fun of blasting through accidents. And I don't know if it's the AI. You can set the AI difficulty, right? But even when we were playing with them on easy to see if we could blast in the first, they would cut me off and they would pinch or move together, and then all of a sudden you've got somebody from the left cutting through them both, and explosions, and I'm trying to drive through it, and I'm getting hit and dragged and turned around and spun around, and I had fun. The game is still lacking features like more vehicles. That's a big one. That's going to be my biggest hit. More vehicles, more tracks, both things the developers have said are coming. I am currently in early access stage. Without that stuff, I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. And I don't know why there aren't more arcade racing games in VR. That playing it just makes more sense. And force feedback is not working right now. They disabled it. Please get that working sooner than later. Also, I'm going to get you in touch, developer, with the Sims Racing Studio guys. So we can get like a butt kicker and the fans working in your game too. Because it's fun. It was a fun time. And that's the review for Drive. If you have any questions about this, leave them down below. Comment, subscribe, like, share with the world. We love hearing from you. And I think we're out of here. We'll talk to you again real soon. See ya.